First two words of this episode. Trae Young.
Special.
You know, and I want to lob this topic off to you, bro, to get it started. Because I see you cheesing, I see you grinning.
Because I've been here, right?
Yes, you've been here.
I've been here. I've been here with Trae Young for years. Trae Young is special. Trae Young keeps proving everybody wrong. He's a rare breed in the NBA. His gravity on the court, he's like what Rashad Phillips says. Shout out to Rashad Phillips. He's a 4-level scorer. He makes guys better offensively when his passing ability and his scoring ability. And it just amazes me, Theus. It amazes me how surprised people are like this is happening with Trae. It just shows you like who are watching the games and who aren't really watching the games. If you know Trae Young, if you followed him in high school, was a bucket, averaged like 40. Comes to Oklahoma, leads the nation in assists and scoring. Comes to the NBA, he was dropping 29 points and 9 assists last season. But you know what? People don't like it when they're wrong. People question his size, said he can't be a number one option, said he lacks athleticism, said he was a knockoff Stephen Curry, said he's a defensive liability, said he puts up empty stats, said the Hawks made a mistake trading Luka for him. And let me tell you something. Like, he's come in and he's gave that city life, the city of Atlanta, that franchise. He is their franchise player. And then to go back to the Luka Doncic point that everybody loves to throw out, to me, this is the most evenest, the most balanced trade in NBA history because both the Dallas Mavericks and the Atlanta Hawks, they both got 2 franchise players. And then for years, I used to tell people that, you know what, Trae Young is more skilled than Luka Doncic. Even though Luka Doncic is incredibly talented, incredibly skilled, I just say that if you really break things down to a T, Trae Young is the more skilled player. And most people would be like, okay, that's fine. But you know what? Luka is a way better player than Trae Young. I used to always tell people that's not really the case. And we're starting to see this year where it's not like on a scale of 1 to 100, it's not like Luka Doncic is a 99 and Trae Young was a 85. Like people would try to say. It's more so like, you know what? Luka Doncic may be a 95 and Trae Young may be a 93 or 92. It's all about preference at this point. And I'm just happy that Trae Young is finally getting the flowers that he deserves, even though the people that are voting on these all-star appearances and the all-NBA teams, they leaving them off. And this is the first time since I think it's 1994, since we're seeing an Eastern Conference team have no all-stars, even though Trae Young should be an all-star. But that just shows you that, like, it's just crazy. But that's here nor there. I'm just happy for Trae Young. I'm happy for the city of Atlanta. And Trae Young is here, and he's been here. So,
I mean, I wanted to ask you that first because you've been kind of saying that earlier, right? Like you've been on that beforehand. So, but look, I'm gonna say this. I don't think it's that people thought Trae was bad or even that he had empty stats. I think the biggest question was what tier he was in, right? Like, is he in the conversations with Luka? Is he in the conversations with Dame and Russ and all those guys? But now, I mean, hey, bro's in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Beat the MVP candidate on the road in a Game 7.
Yep.
I mean, I don't like usually. I mean, you know me. I say like at some point we're gonna have to have the conversation, but it's here now. It's here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the Eastern Conference Finals ain't easy to make.
No.
You know, seeing guys barely make it out the first round, let alone the Eastern Conference Finals, and they can, I think, win that series. I won't say whether or not I got them winning it.
Yeah.
But I definitely will say that they can win it. It would not shock me or surprise me what I saw in that Philly series. Oh, come on.
It's so impressive because they missing their 2 best perimeter defenders. They're missing DeAndre Hunter. They missing Cam Reddish, and they still doing what they doing. But this is what it's about with the Atlanta Hawks. They they found Trae Young, found their franchise player. They drafted right in the draft. This is what you had to do for a small market team. They drafted John Collins, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, and then they went out and found the right pieces to build around Trae for the veterans, Gallinari, Bogey, went out and traded for Clint Capella. So, to be honest, they're kind of they're building like a Golden State Warriors in the South with Atlanta right now. That's how I kind of look at their team. Not necessarily when it comes to the shooting backcourt of Trae Young and probably Kevin Huerter, but like that foundation of building guys in the draft and then find those key veteran players. And that's why in the future is so bright in Atlanta. It's ridiculous. That's why I was saying this when Trae Young got drafted. I was saying like 2023. 2023, 2024. That's when I expect the Atlanta Hawks to go to the finals. And it seems like they're ahead of that curve. So it's special.
Absolutely. I mean, but when we talk about Atlanta, what would you say, the team that obviously they beat in a 7-game series?
Yeah.
What's next for that team, that entire roster?
Well, I'm gonna ask you first. What do you think is next for that team? Do you think the process is over with? That's what I want to know. Because I have my own opinion. I want to know what you think. Do you think the process is over with in Philly? Is it time to end the process? That whole, trust the process. It's a process officially dead in Philly.
No, the process is not dead in Philly because both of your stars are still young. Mm-hmm. I know the season didn't end the way they wanted to, but it's not like these guys are 35. All right, okay. Sometimes now again, I'm definitely, disappointed Philly. I think, they should have won that series, but when you look at the bigger picture here, you still have two young, talented players. I don't care. Obviously, they had a rough game, all that. You still have two young, talented players. Yeah. I mean, and you kind of go and build from there. But I tell you what, though, I'll probably give it, I want to say 2 or 3 more years max. Then it's like, all right, come on. Man. Especially because, like I said before, it's okay to lose to a team that's better than you, right? And no shade to Atlanta. No shade. But there are very few people, if any, that really had Atlanta win this series. So because that's the case, now I got to ask, all right, Philly, you done messed up this year. But if this happens again next year or the year after, ain't no more questions going to have to be asked. Now, like this, now questions can be asked. Now there's curiosity. Right now we're wondering, okay, is it over? Maybe it's not. Hey, 2 more years. Hey, action's got to be taken. Action's got to be taken. Oh, you want it now.
I think as exciting as Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, as talented as they are, I think the process is dead, man. I think it's the end of the process. And I really felt like it was the end of the process when Jimmy Butler decided to go to Miami. Because that's when they really had a legit championship. You look at that roster, they had Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, then they had Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. They had 4 guys that it was like, yo. And then they lost to Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors. And then Jimmy Butler left. And then the following year, we know what happened. They got lost in the first round. And this year they come back, the number 1 overall seed in the Eastern Conference. The Milwaukee Bucks just beat Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you beat the Hawks. You played the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, it's a toss-up. Like, you could beat the Milwaukee Bucks and you go to the finals. This was their year. And it's just kind of like to lose to Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks without the Atlanta Hawks being healthy and having their best perimeter defender. And then you lose. Not only do you lose to Trae and the Hawks in Game 7, you lose when Trae Young had his worst game probably in the playoffs. So that just goes to show you that, like, I don't know if that duel of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid can work. And I really think that Ben Simmons probably needs a fresh new start. He needs to go to a city where they're going to embrace him and probably build around his strengths. I know people are talking. You see the jokes and the memes and online on there talking about Ben Simmons and things he needs to improve on, he needs to work on. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But it just seems like the Philadelphia Sixers, they constantly keep building around Joel Embiid. And it's just like, maybe it's time, maybe Ben Simmons can't be a number 2. Maybe he has to be a number 1. There's certain guys in this league that just probably can't be a number 2. As great, as talented as they are, it's just like Ben Simmons' game may not be predicated to be a number 2. And it's just kind of like that pairing of him and Joel just hasn't got it done, to be honest. And also Joel, we had to talk about Joel. Joel was playing on a slightly torn meniscus, and Tobias Harris, but Joel wasn't really showing up in those second half of games for the past 3 games as well. So everybody keeps talking about Ben Simmons. Then you got to talk about Doc Rivers as well. Like, everybody wants to talk about Ben Simmons, but it's a lot of – that whole team kind of struggled. So it's just kind of like, I just believe that it's time you got to do something different. You got to split this duo up. Yes, they're young. Yes, they're talented. But you've been going at this for years. At some point, what do we say that when it's not working?
Yeah. I mean, I want to say I feel bad for Philly, but then I don't. Because it's like, considering how their past decade has been in terms of like the original, like, because, we know they done had some bad teams. They done had some bad basketball teams. And to see where they're at now, obviously now they have a lot more, they have higher expectations. Yeah. But it's almost like you said, is now what? Okay. Like, because especially too, when there's not much room to change things, know who your stars are, right? I don't even know if we can say that Philly is missing a piece, right? Are they missing a piece, or do they need to change pieces, right? So it's a tough spot. It's a tough situation. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, both their stars are young. They're both paid. Yeah. So that's another thing too. When you talk about contracts, hey, what really is next?
So you feel like they should keep it together. You don't think that Ben Simmons needs a fresh new start?
Not yet. Not yet. And you know this too, I don't want to let one game dictate who he is as a basketball player. Now, that's again, true. like I said, he had a rough game. There's no denying that, whatever. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he's still he's not a bum, right? Like he's still
that's
talented.
True. And that's why I didn't like what was going on online. Like, you hear the jokes, it's fun, you laugh and stuff like that. Yeah. But people start talking about like Ben Simmons for Kyle Kuzma, Ben Simmons for Buddy Hield. I'm like, all right, slow down now. Like, come on now. This Ben Simmons is still a two-time All-Star, has an all-around game. He's lethal on the fast break transition. Probably the best defender in the NBA. So it's just kind of like, yes, he can't shoot, but you know what? He can develop, and I hope he develops. But you also got to understand, like, this is how I look at it. Like, he has so much talent, but it's like a job. You come in, you working a job, you working a 9 to 5, and then you inherit to, let's say, $1 million. Are you gonna work as hard on your job? Ben Simmons came in, he got his contract. He big time contract. It's just like, he's set for 5 years. Then the fourth year when his contract's about to be up, we may see, oh shoot, like he got to get that next contract. You know what I'm saying? Nah. So it's just like, no, I'm just saying some people, that drive and that motivation and that hunger, that's what separates the top of the tier, the Michael Jordans, the Kevin Durant, the LeBron James, the Kobe Bryant, the Allen Iverson. That's what separates those guys for the rest of the Stephen Curry. That's what separates those guys for the rest of the pack. It's like, when you get that success, when you get that money, what motivates you to be great? And it's just like, I don't know if I can say that Ben Simmons is necessarily motivated to work on his game. Like, I hope he is, because he has so much potential. I hope he can do what Julius Randle did. He's still young. He's 24 years old. Julius Randle came in the league. We know what type of player he was. He was a guy that couldn't even operate on the first level on the basketball court. Now look at him. So yes, that's how people are looking at it. Like, yo, Ben Simmons has so much talent. Like, he can be something so spectacular. But at the same time, he has to want that. He has to develop. So, yeah. And I don't know if that's going to get done in Philly. That's my thing. So that's why I'm saying, like, he may need a new fresh start. He may need to be in a situation where they force him to, like, build pieces around him and build around his strengths. So even if even if he doesn't really get a shot, he can still have that aggressiveness and still have, like, yo, you the man. Like, we want you to be the guy. So, like, kind of like Giannis. Giannis is still improving. Giannis is still working on his shot. But at the same time, it's kind of like he hasn't, like, got this automatic from his 2 or automatic for the 3. He's still doing what he's doing. So maybe Ben Simmons needs that. But I don't know, man. It's a very dicey situation.
It's a dicey and an unfortunate one. I mean, you talked about age and, just him being young and point guard. So I just want to ask this one question real quick as we transition to, having another convo is, if you had to name a couple of your favorite young point guards or young floor generals in the league, who are the first few that kind of come to your mind? Again, not to say who's your best, like, just
young. I mean, Trae Young, definitely, of course. Trae Young is, to me, I think he's already a top 5 point guard in the league right now. And then for his young, I like Ja Morant, I like LaMelo Ball. I like those 3 right there are very, very special to me. So Ja Morant, what he's doing since he's been in the league, basically getting the Memphis Grizzlies almost to the playoffs his rookie season, then to the playoffs this year, beating Stephen Curry, and then LaMelo Ball is coming, Yeah. We're going to talk about LaMelo a lot later on in the episode, but LaMelo Ball is coming, and he's another guy that people were acting crazy about before he got drafted, and we can talk about that later, but similar to like Trae Young, the disrespect. So those 3 for sure.
And I'm with that list, those 3, but I want to add 2 more, Shea and Jamal. I mean, 2 guys who were kind of unlucky when it comes to injuries and things like that. But
Jamal
Murray.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Murray. Right.
I just wanted to throw those 2 names out there. But yeah, definitely with you on that list.
Yeah.
I mean, we're definitely in the age now where the point guard position is starting to take over. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's been taking over for a while.
Right. But I know everyone, acknowledges the wings now, or, LeBron, KD, Giannis, but the especially the young point guards. Young point guards are here, and they're not afraid.
No,
right?
They're not afraid.
It's not all right, I'm going to wait my turn, and then they're here.
Yeah.
And I want to mention Book's name too. I wouldn't call him a point guard, of course, but just kind of what he's done with that franchise without CP3, made it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
I mean, he got to have that shout out, man.
Yeah. It's another guy that people were amazed. Like what he did in Game 1, they were kind of amazed at like him dropping that triple-double, but it's just like if you watch Devin Booker over the years, he was playing the lead guard position. Like he was averaging six assists for 2 straight seasons before they got a elite point guard. Like it's just not like some I feel like so many times that people look at certain guys and be like, yo, he's just a scorer. Well, that's his best attribute. He can do more if you ask him. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we kind of saw with Devin Booker. Or, he's been doing that his entire career, but he's just been scoring now since they got Chris Paul. But, like, you know how it be. But I before we transition to something else, I want you to know, like, your thoughts on – you don't have to give a pick or anything about the Atlanta and the Bucks series, but, like, I want to know, like, what do you feel like some of the keys to that series and to that matchup with the Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks?
I would say figuring out a way to stop Giannis, which is obviously duh, but – the thing is, I think Atlanta on the defensive end can possibly, figure out a way to kind of keep it, I won't say close, but in a way where like they can actually sneak out and get Game 1 on the road.
Okay.
And I mean, like the one thing I would say too is that they've proven that they can do it, not necessarily just win on the road, but not care about playing in a hostile environment. Now, I think that Milwaukee crowd is definitely going to be ready, especially because they feel look, they ain't got to face Kawhi. They ain't got to face Bron. Mm-hmm. They in their mind, they probably think, oh, it's Trae or
they beat Kevin Durant. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, ask Philly. Yeah. Ask Philly what happens when you sleep. Hey, ask New York. And I hate to say it that way, but it's real. Yeah. Atlanta is not a team to be messed with. But I mean, I will say Trae, obviously, his last game wasn't the greatest, but I think he'll come out, to a hot start this series. But it's definitely gonna be a good one. I'll say. I think both teams. It's crazy to say that the Milwaukee one was an upset, if you will, but there is so much hype around Brooklyn that if people are like, "Yo, Milwaukee can actually win."
Yeah, I told you before the beginning of the series, I was just like, it can go 7 games. This was before like those injuries started to occur, but then after they was up 2-0, I was like, nah, it's over with. But then like Kyrie went down, and James Harden came and back played on one leg. So it seems like the Milwaukee Bucks, like, to be honest, they have championship momentum. Like Giannis is the best player that's left in this playoffs. So it's really no excuse for the Milwaukee Bucks not to win this championship. And then I'll just talk a little bit about like some keys. You talked about Atlanta Hawks and the keys and stuff like that, but I'll talk about some keys for the Milwaukee Bucks and what I think they need to do against Trae Young and Atlanta Hawks, because I feel like with Trae Young, you got to throw multiple bodies at him. Like the Milwaukee Bucks, what makes them so special is their defensive versatility. They can really switch 1 through 5 on a basketball court, depending on if they swap out, Bobby Portis for Brook Lopez. Even if they want to have Brook Lopez, they can still switch 1 through 4 on the basketball court. So when you look at it, it's kind of like they got Chris Middleton. He can match up with Trae Young sometimes. His length can be a factor in the series and making, Trae Young feel a little difficult. He was guarding KD. Then you got Drew Holiday with his quickness and the way he moves his feet and slides. He can stay in front of Trae Young. And then if you want a more physical approach, you can go PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker, strong, physically can challenge Trae Young. So those are 3 guys right now. You can just switch that on every couple possessions. So that's what I think is going to be difficult for the Hawks and Trae Young. And hopefully, it's an amazing series. But like I said, Milwaukee Bucks got championship momentum right now. I think they should go to the championship. I think they should win it all. But we just got to wait and find out, to be honest.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, though, if Atlanta make the finals, I'm in there. I might not be inside that arena, but I'm going to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta in the NBA Finals?
Yeah, it's gonna be wild.
I'm in Atlanta.
It's gonna be wild.
Yeah, facts. What's up, y'all? It's Theus McBee. Make sure you go follow No Pump Fakes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Talk to me about LaMelo winning Rookie of the Year and what that means for that franchise and that organization.
Yeah, man, it's an exciting time. I mean, I wasn't around when Larry Johnson first came. I mean, it's kind of remarkable that he wore number 2, Melo with number 2 as well. But people who have been with the organization for a long time have talked about the impact when Larry first came in. He came in with this huge following from UNLV, and everybody was attracted to Charlotte based on not just the other guys that we had on, but it was just that Larry Johnson brought like a certain cultural effect, right? He was on TV. He was the guy with the big smile. He was the big jams. He was Grandmama. He was in commercials. He just kind of brought that kind of aspect to the Charlotte Hornets. And LaMelo's bringing the same thing from an international, coming from California, the hype around his brother, of course, around LeVar. But it's just that he's created his own lane and his own branding, that he's not Lonzo's little brother. He's LaMelo Ball. He's kind of created his own path. He's not LeVar's kids. They just know him like, oh, we know him of his father, but everybody knows that LaMelo is LaMelo. I think he's probably the most popular Ball, in my opinion. If you watch the show Ball in the Family, that I've been watching that for years, that he was always the youngest one that had to sit back and watch from his brothers. And then he basically just took notes on what to do, how to do things, how to be a professional, how to learn from certain mistakes. And just to kind of like, I give a lot of credit to his brothers and his parents and the people around him and his coaches, that they kind of groomed this guy. He's 19 years old, but if you actually had a chance to meet him, he seems like he's 25, 27. Like, he's been here already. Like, the fame doesn't really bother him as much. I know, like, one of our biggest games we had, I think it was against either New Orleans or Boston. I mean, with COVID, that wasn't the most packed our arena has been before. But for COVID, that was a big crowd, and everybody's cheering and yelling his name. Even during timeouts, they just want to see him wave at the crowd. Like, none of that stuff phases him. Like, he's just ready to go, and he's just focusing and always focusing on the task and how he can get better each and every day. He is not selfish at all. He listens to his teammates. He's always willing to stop. He asks a lot of questions. You could tell that players like to be around him. I mean, Terry and Gordon talked about these guys are veterans coming from Boston, winning organizations and been around the league for a while. They said they've never met a guy who can walk into a locker room and just brighten, the whole room up with a smile, and he just has that kind of impact.
And I think that's the perfect thing, is that it's not just that he's talented, but he's also professional, right? So his experience prior to when he came to the league, it wasn't the traditional route. But to see where he is now, hey, there are a lot of people in certain, mentions and adding other people, like saying LaMelo's going to be this, LaMelo's going to be that. And now he came and won Roy. And I'm sure you would agree with this, but I don't think his time is done yet at all. Anywhere close.
Yeah.
So what would you say? I know you talked about, his overall impact on the organization, not even just from a basketball standpoint, but now what do you see from him moving forward for the future of that franchise?
Yeah, I think he's just going to play. His role is just going to increase and get bigger and bigger. I mean, people forget that he scored 0 points in his first game and he came off the bench. He was a little rattled, but he's 19 years old, without summer league, limited time, a mini camp, walking into the NBA. I mean, the kid just, I wouldn't call him a kid, he's an adult, but he's just like, he just came in as a very young guy, amongst the veterans, such as, he got a lot of heavy hitters, right? You got Terry Rozier, who had a phenomenal year. You had Gordon Hayward, almost a 10-year veteran. Bismack Biyombo, Cody. These guys have been around for a very long time, so he has to fight for positioning on how he's going to fit into this role. You got Malik Monk coming from Kentucky. You got PJ Washington, these guys, and Miles Bridges. And he had Devontae Graham, who led us last year. He was our starting point guard, playing alongside Terry Rozier. So LaMelo now has to find his way in this rhythm. And now everybody has suggestions. Well, there's no way you can keep 3 of these guys and playing together. And James Borrego was like, I can, and I can show you, I can basically, and it kind of worked out in our favor. Unfortunately, you don't want to see anybody get hurt, but when Devontae stepped down, it was next man up mentality, and LaMelo stepped right in and was ready to go, and never took his foot off the gas. And that's a true testament of him preparing himself, even though it was a COVID situation. He was home, he was training wherever he was, but he came right into this organization prepared and ready. And I think he's now, for the first time, going to have an official 82-game NBA season, right? So training camp is going to start right back where it used to be, around like September. going into the season. We want to get back, go back to normal. So he's going to walk right back into that with already, 56 games that he played because he missed a lot of time.
Yeah.
And he hasn't even played 80 games. He's only played 50, and he's only started in like 3/4 of those games. So can you imagine what this guy is going to get with 82 game season, to be able to get that kind of experience? So I think his trajectory is just going to continue to go up and up.
Yeah. I definitely go ahead, Theus.
No, go ahead.
No, I definitely agree. I want to ask you, Wesley, about, because when I watch the Charlotte Hornets play and I watch LaMelo Ball, it's two things that I notice. Like you said, his excitement, his passion, him getting the guys going. But also I notice when him and Miles Bridges are on the court, it's just electrifying. Yeah. Talk about that relationship, and I think they're one of the most underrated duos in the league because, that pick and roll, that alley-oop combination. Can you talk about Miles Bridges and what he kind of brings to the team?
Man, Miles is one of my favorites to watch. I mean, I love my entire team, but I like Miles because I watched him. I came back to the organization when Miles and Devontae were drafted. Okay. So we basically, I was an intern with the organization before, but to come back in this role with the Hornets, Miles and Devontae were the rookies. So I spent a lot of time working with Miles and Devontae, just following them around. They were always when I used to do the pregame recordings, they were always the first to come out to warm up. They will always put the rookies out first. So to see where Miles' game has progressed to, and one thing that he wanted to improve on, and he always talked about, was his 3-point shooting. And if you compare it from his first year, which wasn't bad, but if you look at the amount of shots he took this year and how many he was able to knock down after even the second half of the year, I think he was a better 3-point shooter. I mean, I have to look up the numbers to see where does he rank in the second half, but I will believe that he was top 20 at least, and maybe top 10 in his position, because he was shooting lights out. And unfortunately, due to health and safety protocols, he had to miss 5 games. But I wonder what would this season have looked like for us if Miles didn't go down. I know we were already missing LaMelo. He came back, and we were missing Gordon. But at the time that Miles was playing at his peak, almost averaging 23 points a game through like a 5-game span, and then at the height of his game, I think his last game, he scored like 31, and then he had to be out for 5 games. So that kind of cooled us down a little bit.
Yeah.
And kind of, in the game of basketball, 5 games is a lot.
Yeah.
You missed a week of basketball because of health and safety protocols. You step away from the gym, you kind of lose that fire, and it's kind of hard to spark it back up when other teams are getting ready to fight for position in the playoffs. And we ran into that with the Pacers and the Wizards. Those guys are ready to go and pushing for the season. So to see Miles go from the dunker to now the prolific scorer, like he's now the guy that we can look to for clutch buckets, Now he's always been that guy coming in. He was never afraid to take those shots, but you could tell that his confidence grew. And then when LaMelo came, it was like instantly through training camp. I remember the first video, because we weren't able to be there, so our video team was there. The first video that I saw from training camp in their first practice was a full court bounce pass to Miles Bridges for the dunk. And I looked at it, I was like, yo, that's the new connection. That's the new connection right there. And then after that practice, James Borrego said, I don't want to get you guys excited, but when LaMelo's passing the ball, you better keep your head on him, because it may hit you in the face.
On the swivel,
Yeah, you got
just get ready.
Pay attention, So when I heard that, when I heard that, I was like, yeah. And the one person who likes to run the floor is definitely Miles. Miles and Malik, if you have those two running on the side, just throw it up and Miles will get it.
All right, so with that, would you say that Miles Bridges is the best dunker in the league?
Absolutely. And I have this debate every time. And it's like, oh, well, you're biased because you're there. Okay, yeah. But from the outside looking in, I have like videos to back up. If you look at the crazy thing about Miles Bridges is that he's a lefty shooter, but he dunks better with his right hand. He's a much better dunk. If you look at most of his dunks, they all came from the right hand. It's the opposite hand.
Yeah.
So when you're taking away his left, he can dribble hard to the left, spin around, dunk it with his right. I've seen the clips of him doing that. He can two-hand it. He can dunk it backwards. He can get putbacks. He's not afraid of dunking on you. Ask Clint Capella. It's like, there's just so many things that he can do, man. This guy is just so phenomenal. And I mean, it's too early, but I said if he has a season like this for the next 3 or 4 years, and it's the amount of dunks that he had, you might have to put him in that conversation as one of the best in NBA history, one of the most exciting dunkers in NBA history.
Yeah, I mean he's a special type of player. Now, nobody kind of expected the Charlotte Hornets to be this good this past season. So I want to ask you, basically the Hornets went from a lottery team to a fridge like playoff contender. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you guys need to do, where you feel like the team needs to do to be a consistent playoff team going forward?
Yeah, I mean, well, the biggest thing is health. That was the biggest thing that struck us this year. I mean, at our peak, before Gordon Hayward and LaMelo went down on our road trip, we were the fourth seed. Mm-hmm. So we were the Knicks, right? So it was like we had that position in and we had it locked, and we beat a lot of different teams. We beat we opened our season beating Brooklyn. We beat Milwaukee, we beat New Orleans, we beat Boston. We beat a lot of we beat Miami. There was a lot of teams that we picked up a lot of wins against. I think, we picked up a win in Miami as well. So we were not just a home team picking up these wins, but we were also picking up prominent wins on the road as well. And we had a lot of guys step up, like the Martin brothers, Jalen McDaniels. Brad Wanamaker stepped in for us when LaMelo went down, and he helped us out through some stretch of games as well. So I would love to see this team run it back. Now, I don't know what the organization is going to do. I support anything they want to do. But knowing that we have some contract situations and decisions that we have to make, but I'm very confident on the next man up mentality that if certain moves have to be made, then we do have pieces like Jalen McDaniels, Vernon Carey Jr., who had a great showing in Brooklyn in his first start. And we also have Nick Richards. Those guys are also ready to go as well. Those guys remind me exactly how when I came in, it was Dwayne Bacon, Malik Monk this season. These guys didn't play many minutes, and rather than sit on the sidelines and pout, this organization and this coaching staff is so amazing at keeping these guys ready. You're not playing the first 20 games, okay, but when we call you on game 21, you got to be ready to go. And we've seen that outing with Caleb Martin. We've seen that with Cody. We saw that with Vernon coming in. Malik didn't play like the first 13 games. He goes into Miami. He drops 35.
Yeah, he's so talented. Now you guys gonna have probably $30 million in cap space, and then you kind of talked about like you don't know what's gonna happen in the front office in that situation, but it is a possibility. I want to ask you this question: how would you feel about a Chico Hills reunion in Charlotte? Because we know that Lonzo Ball is going to be a restricted free agent. We know that he kind of wants out in New Orleans, and we know that connection with LaMelo Ball and Lonzo Ball, they're brothers, so it exists, and they had so much success at a public school, high school. So I just want to ask you, like, what are your thoughts on that potentially being something that could happen?
I mean, it would have to be a case that we're not getting Terry and Devontae back, which I think that's highly unlikely. And I think, no disrespect to Lonzo, he's doing a phenomenal job. I think what works for him is working in New Orleans. But we have a piece of him. We have LaMelo because they have similar styles, and LaMelo is also, just as good as an outside shooter as he is. But I would rather stick with the guys that we have, like Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier. I think you have yet to see what Terry Rozier can offer. I think he's been put in a position where he's had to adjust his game in the first year when he got here, because it was him as the guy. But then Devontae came off the bench, and we started those two. So he had to make an adjustment around that. Then the next year, we had to add in Gordon Hayward. Then we added LaMelo Ball. So he also had to make another adjustment to his game. So, but in big moments, we have seen that when we need a guy down the line, put the ball in Terry's hands, and he's the guy that we can rely on to reel us in. So, I mean, no disrespect to Lonzo, but I think I would rather stick with Devontae and Terry, unless the situation is that we don't have those guys and he is available. Of course, that'll be fun, right? Because the marketing will be to the roof. As a social media guy, I have I have a blast.
But your job would be easy. Oh, you got two Ball brothers on the same team. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
you might not phenomenal. You might not ever have to even tweet captions. Just literally just post a picture of them and you'll be straight.
And the one thing I learned about LaMelo is that when he came in, like our following grew. I think we gained like 300,000 followers when LaMelo came in. So can you imagine if both of them were here? But I see it. I don't see it happening. I think I like the competition, because when I was there when they came in Charlotte, And I just like to watch two brothers go at each other. Like, and it's so remarkable. I can imagine what their parents feel like, because I'm a father of two boys, and I would love to see my kids play against each other, not just in the backyard, high school. Now they're at the professional NBA level that they've been talking about their entire lives. I think that's much better than playing on the same team.
That's real. I'm with you on that. You mentioned Larry Johnson earlier.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, if you could name your top 3 favorite Hornets of all time. Actually, I want to push it to 5. I want to push it to 5.
5? Okay. One, Kemba Walker. Yeah, Kemba's my guy. I mean, bias, stats, I got it all. Like, the guy is definitely the king of Charlotte, and it's his. No matter what the situation, there's no love lost about Kemba Walker leaving or anything. It's always gonna be love in Charlotte. So he'll be my number 1. Number 2 would be Larry Johnson. Number 3, Alonzo Mourning. Number 4, I would have to put Glenn Rice. I like Glenn Rice in that spot. And then
yes, sir.
Yeah, number 5. Just I'm gonna go with Del Curry, man. You can't lights out shooter, and
shooter.
And he spent a lot of time in Charlotte as well. He's beloved there. He's still there. And I know if he sees this, he's gonna be like, man, Wes, what in the world? So my guy Del Curry for sure, man. That's my top 5.
I got you. Ahmad, you got a 5, Ahmad?
Man, I'm gonna go. Definitely got to show love to Mr. UConn himself over here with the school there, Theus. But Kemba Walker definitely. I think Kemba Walker is what he did for that Charlotte Hornets franchise was spectacular, amazing. Another guy, one of my favorite Hornets that a lot of people don't talk about, is Baron Davis. Like, what he did, a top 3, one of the top 3 most athletic guards in the history of the game, other than probably Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook. I don't think there's another athletic point guard that had more athleticism than Baron Davis. But then another guy, I don't know if we can really consider this, but he was a Hornet. It was just in New Orleans and not Charlotte. Chris Paul, you know what I'm saying? Okay. It's like Chris Paul. Can we consider that? If
no,
not, okay.
I'm not giving you that. I'm not giving you that.
Okay, we can't. No Chris Paul. Okay, Larry Johnson, I'll go as well. Was special. Jamal Mashburn. This guy was a 20-point scorer for most of his career. Just simple, operate at the second level on the basketball court. And I got to go on my guy LaMelo Ball. I've been a LaMelo Ball fan since he was 14 years old. Watching him, at Chico Hills, you saw as a freshman, you just knew that, this guy was going to the NBA. That's how talented and gifted he was. So young at 14 years old. So those are probably my top 5. What about you, Theus?
All right, well, my top 5, here we go. Number 1, obviously, Kemba Walker. One time for UConn. Number 2, Jeremy Lamb. Again, one time for you guys.
Oh, my God.
Hey, look, let me tell you. Lamb hit some, if you go look at Kemba's last year, both of them last year,
you see it.
Hit some big shots for
you
us,
see
man.
it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But
you
top 5?
Yeah. Top 5? Hey, it's my 5.
That's
it's
my
5.
Yeah.
It's my 5.
Okay, go ahead.
Number 3, Emeka.
I like Emeka, man.
Number 4, I'm going to go with Baron Davis.
Yes, sir.
And at number 5, I'm going to Jared Wallace.
G-Force. Oh, you know why? So
I'm going Jared Wallace.
And the Bobcats are part of our organization. Like, I don't want to disrespect those guys at all, but growing up, G-Force was my guy, man. Like, and he was called Crash. That's what they knew him as. But it wasn't because he fell on the floor. Like, my man could do it all. Crash the boards, block shots. I mean, look at that year he made the All-Star team, man. People think it was a fluke, but you can't argue with 19, 12, and 2 blocks a game. Like, dude was a baller.
Yeah, great defensive player as well.
Love G-Force,
especially at that position. Yeah.
G-Force, man. That dude was something special. Emeka, man, it's like I get my heart hurts for him because that guy could have been something special. He had many injuries. I mean, I think he still would have been playing. I mean, he probably would have been at retirement point, but he was that guy I saw being with the organization for a very long time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for sure. I definitely had to say him, for obvious reasons. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now, respect to that. Wesley, for our last question, we're gonna let you get out of here. I want to ask you, if I say Allen Iverson and LaMelo Ball, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Shifting gears, like handles, right? Like being able to misdirect, right? Where they think their body's going one way, but they cross over to the next. That's the first thing I think of. Being able to push the ball up the floor and speed. You can't catch them, right? You can't even get your defense set quick enough, and by the time you do, they're already to the rack, and then they're quick at their decision making. Now, Melo is not in a position to score as much as Allen, but I think you can't leave LaMelo open like Allen. It's pretty much game over if you let LaMelo shoot the ball. I mean, and it's still his first year. It's like so much that I'm able to say about LaMelo's game, and he's only 19, which means there used to always be this thing. I remember Isaiah Thomas, Zeke said about in the meeting one time when I used to work at NBA TV. He said the average point guard really doesn't develop until year 3 or 4. Right? They don't really get it. Some are good, right? The game has changed now where guys are picking it up right away, but they don't really figure it out until like year 3 or 4 where they become at an elite status, right? Look at a Chris Paul, look at Steve Nash, Jason Kidd. These guys took them like 2 or 3 years, but when they figured it out, they ran the league. They were the best. So it's funny to talk about a 19-year-old. It's like we putting him in the name with Allen Iverson. I'm not saying
I would.
But that's respect, that's like, yo, you're that good that I can put you in these names that people don't laugh at it and say, yo, man, get off the mic. It's like, no, it might be a real thing that he may be that guy, So
the reason why I asked you that question is because when I look at Allen Iverson, when I think of Allen Iverson and LaMelo Ball, not necessarily game wise, I think of cultural impact, like how we grew up and we saw and idolized Allen Iverson, like with the sleeves, the headbands, people want to get tattoos,
changing the game,
all that changing the game. I look at LaMelo Ball and even Zion Williamson, when both of these guys, that social media impact, that social Generation Z, they got that on lock. Like it's Generation Z kids, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years, they view LaMelo Ball and Zion Williamson the same way we view like Kobe and LeBron. It's something special. And I just feel like that culture impact that LaMelo Ball is going to have for this next group of fan base is just going to be insane. And we haven't seen that, in my opinion. We probably haven't going to have seen that, in my opinion, since Allen Iverson. And I'm starting to see like I deal with kids, and I talk to kids and mentor kids and stuff like that. When they talk about LaMelo Ball, it's kind of like how I used to talk about Allen Iverson growing up.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to ask you that question.
Yeah. I've never seen, and look, I'm a social media coordinator. I do not have a LaMelo Ball jersey. Why? Because when they go on sale, people buy it up instantly. And I even tried to go in the store physically, and then I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna come back and get it. By the time I come back, the jerseys are off the rack. Yeah. And I've never seen a player, not even Kemba Walker's 3-time All-Star, I've never seen even the classic jerseys, right? Baron Davis, Del Curry, Larry Johnson, those are up there. But and Devontae Graham, when he had a big year, Terry, it just seemed like anything LaMelo just it's like a quick sale. Put it up there, expect that it's not gonna last until Sunday. The people are just gonna come in and buy it. And when you go to, if you guys ever have a chance to go to a Charlotte game, just look and scale the arena. All you see is the number 2 jersey, and it's not Larry Johnson. It's like, that's the crazy thing. Is like you see a bunch of, and it's a lot of young kids that like LaMelo. I didn't really realize that. I mean, of course he's 19, right? So he has this crazy following of younger kids.
He's the king. And we're starting to see with the next upcoming generation, like Michael Williams and Bronny James. But it was Zion Williamson and LaMelo Ball first when we talk about social media kings for high school athletes. It was really those two. So it's going to be special for years to come with LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, they give me the vibe of. I'm glad you brought up AI. Kevin Garnett was like that too. I remember KG was just not the traditional power forward. He wasn't Dirk. He wasn't Amari. He wasn't Tim. He wasn't Barkley. He was just a KG, and he just did it his way, and ain't nothing you could do about it. I feel like Zion's the same way. It's like you can say, well, he needs to. I hate hearing that. He needs to drop weight. He needs to do this. It's like he's doing it, and he's still dropping 25. So it's like he's doing it his way. Just
60% for the field.
Yeah, and I saw a
crazy.
Stat. He was like the only. Yeah, it's like there's plenty of stats. He was either the only person or the first person to do some of his stats in like the last 50 years in NBA history. I had to look it up. I have a screenshot it, but because we were talking in Clubhouse with other people about his weight and stuff and how he needs to do this in order to be better. If he's the first person to do something in 50 years, I don't think his weight is
but I think he's okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem. So
I think he's okay.
Yeah, lay off of him, man.
Yeah. But yeah, man, we want to, appreciate you, obviously for pulling up. Just kind of want to show love to, LaMelo and the entire Hornets organization because, what you guys did this year was definitely up there. So, want to give LaMelo and the team their flowers. So,
we really appreciate that, man. Like I've been around when the organization came back as the Bobcats. So I've been here as a kid, and I was here for the Emeka, Adam Morrison, Raymond Felton, Sean May.
Wow.
Primo Prezic.
You're naming some names.
Yeah, man.
You're naming some names.
Yeah. I remember when we made the deal and Captain Jack came, and Boris Diaw, Tyson Chandler, Larry Brown, my head coach, Larry Hughes, you know what I'm saying? And who else is Jarrah Bell. We had a lot of people, and we made a playoff run that year, and we lost to Orlando. But and I remember when we traded Gerald. I remember being a kid, I was crying. I was like, I didn't want G-Force to go. He got traded to Portland, and the next after that, when he left, Kemba came and just took us on from there. I mean, and then when Kemba left, LaMelo came. So it's like every time something happens, I've been here when the organization skyrocketed, but this time. This is not a airplane. This is a rocket.
Okay.
LaMelo's
take off.
Yeah,
take off.
He's taking off.
He's here. No, he's here. He's special.
Yeah, he's taking us to the new atmosphere, man.
Yeah, he's special. He has potential to be the face of the entire league. I think that's how great I think he's gonna be.
I just love the attention and the respect that these guys are getting, especially people like Miles Bridges and Devontae, who've been here 3 years, and even Terry. People know Terry's situation prior to us. Gordon as well. These guys have something to prove. So we got a lot more to go, man. Just everybody listening, just tune in and buckle up. We ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I see it. Respect it. I respect it.
Nah, cool. I really appreciate you guys asking me to be on here, man.
I already know, man.
I know you guys are just starting this out, but I've been listening to some of the conversations, man. It's definitely dope, man. And Shaq would average 40 in this game.
Tell that to him. Tell that to Ahmad. I know. Ahmad, you hear that? Yeah. 40.
Hey, look, Ahmad, if it ain't 40, it's
37.8. It's close.
Yeah,
I feel you.
Man.
Definitely feel you.
So Ahmad, let me ask you a quick question. All right. Kristaps Porzingis. If there was one player that you had to compare Kristaps Porzingis to in the entire NBA history, who would it be? His game.
His game.
Who would you compare? Yeah, who would you compare his game to? There's one guy.
One guy. To be honest, he kind of reminds me of he shoots a lot of three. He kind of reminds me like Yao Ming, to be honest. Like if you really think about it. Like the way he's 7'3", he doesn't really operate in the post, but he can score in the post at the high post and stuff like that. But unfortunately, Dallas Mavericks, their offense doesn't utilize him that way. But just a kind of like a 3-point version of Yao Ming. That's kind of how I look at Porzingis.
I'm not gonna lie to you, that was not the answer I was expecting. Shout out to Yao, feel me? Yeah. But that was not the answer. So I'm gonna tell you what I was told from this individual, and I hope this person listens to it. I'm going to send them this segment. I was told this past weekend that there's one player who Kristaps Porzingis' game reminds them of. It's Kevin Durant.
Oh, no, that's crazy.
Bro,
that's crazy.
And I'm like, insane. No. I'm thinking to myself, okay, ha, ha, ha. You joking. Let's laugh. This person was dead serious. Now, I'm not going to say this person's name. I'm not. I'm going to send them this video. I'm not going to say their name. But comparing Kristaps Porzingis.
Nah, that's wild.
And this is no shade to KP. No shade at all. But we're comparing that young man to Kevin damn Durant?
Yeah.
Like I said, I just had to present that question to you to make sure that my brain was properly functioning.
Your brain functioning right. That's crazy.
To Kevin, do you know how many players have played in the National Basketball Association?
It's none like
you mean
Kevin
to tell
Durant.
me the first one you name is Kevin damn Durant? What the hell is going on? That's disgusting.
That is disgusting. Like I said, like I can see even Dirk. He's not really even like Dirk, but that's why I said like that's why I kind of say like Yao Ming, because like his lateral movement is kind of similar to Yao Ming's, and it's just, he just isn't operating in the high post, and it's crazy because that's how he should be played. It's really, if you really look at Yao's game and look at Kristaps Porzingis, like that's how KP should be played, while also being a stretch four at times as well. So,
and you know what? You mentioned Yao, and I said Dirk. That was my answer. But the reason why, and I don't want to backtrack, but the reason why I was irritated about Kevin Durant was that one thing that KD does is bring the ball up the floor.
Yeah, handles the ball.
One thing that KD can do is put you on a damn island. The two guys that you just named, Yao and Dirk, and I guess depending on how you define island, Dirk maybe does that one-on-one in the post. Yeah. But when I mean like, yo, Kevin Durant, I need a bucket. Here you go. Bring the ball down. There's 5 seconds left. Everyone else, get the hell out the way.
Yeah.
That two we're comparing, that young man too, I don't like that.
Nah,
I'm sorry. I just had to ask that, like I said, to assure myself and our audience that statements like that can't just be tossed around like that. And this person, I promise, oh my gosh, I can't wait. This hurts till they hear this. This person plays basketball. It was a basketball opinion that I respected.
Ooh, wow, that's crazy. Now that's insane. That's insane. Like maybe he was talking about like maybe like the size, if the size of KP being similar to Kevin, but their play style is nowhere near, not even close. But that's crazy because it's gonna. This kind of leads to our last segment, the cap or no cap segment.
Run.
Some people feel like it's a difference between the best scorer in the world and the best player in the world. And sometimes those two things can be the same. So I'm here to ask you, cap or no cap, is Kevin Durant not only the best scorer in the world, but is he also the best player in the world?
Kevin Durant is the best scorer in the world, and Kevin Durant is the best player in the world. But this is like the first time in a very long time that's been the case, though. It's been LeBron's league for a very long time now. But yeah, I mean, for the first time in a very long time, the best scorer and the best player are the exact same person.
So you're saying no cap? That's what you're saying?
No cap, yes, no cap. To answer your question, and honestly, it's not even. I can't say it's definitely not even a discussion or debate because of both of theirs playoff as exits, if you will, and performances. Not just exits, but performances. But yeah, no cap on that at all. Kevin Durant's the best player. Kevin Durant's the best scorer in this league.
I'm not mad at it.
I don't see who someone else. I mean, are we going to get like a Giannis statement over who's the best player?
No.
No, I'm just saying.
No. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. Kevin Durant, I think this season. Well, to be honest, I think it's been a legitimate discussion since probably like the 2018 NBA season. Like, but then
over who the best player is?
It's been a discussion between it's a toss up between Kevin Durant and LeBron James, because it was just crazy that LeBron James went on that crazy run and with the Cavs in 2018. It was like, damn, like it's still probably LeBron. But then we saw the finals. It's just like we saw what Kevin Durant did. Even in 2017, we saw what Kevin Durant did, but it was just like the teams that he was on with the Golden State Warriors, they were so stacked. It was just kind of like 2018 happened. We saw LeBron James game 1 gave us the one of the greatest playoff games in the history of the NBA, and it was just like, yo, it's still LeBron James, even though they lost the series. That's when it was kind of like a discussion. And then 2019 came. I thought it was Kevin Durant easy that year, and then he got hurt. He tore his Achilles and stuff like that. And LeBron James went to the Lakers at first. I thought I was like, yo, it's really Kevin Durant. Then he got hurt. Then LeBron James kind of like won the finals, was like going for the MVP during the regular season, all these great things. And I was like, okay, it's still LeBron. But this year, it's kind of like this regular season, this playoffs, it's kind of like you probably got to get an edge to Kevin Durant. But still, it's kind of hard because like the playoff X's of both LeBron James, who was playing with a high ankle sprain and stuff like that. He wasn't his 100% self. LeBron James, for the ankle sprain, was a top 2 MVP candidate. So it's like, I'm not mad either way. That's why I had to ask the question. So
I mean, this is very few. This is one of the rare segments where like if a Laker or LeBron question is presented to me, I'm gonna take a step back and just allow it to kind of be in the air. Only because I've said it before, but the exit that the Lakers had in general was just embarrassing. And I don't want to go down that hill. But, I don't think it's crazy to say that Kevin Durant is the best player. You know what, though? That might be the title of this video. The best basketball player in the world is. And for the first time in a long time, that discussion. And obviously, like, if you think, LeBron has been a 99, right? Kevin Durant ain't been nothing lower than like a 97.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it
ain't a huge gap. It ain't a huge gap.
They've been top 2 for years. So
exactly, it ain't ever been a huge gap ever.
Yeah.
But I will say though, I don't want to say it's in the episode, but I'm going to anyway. There was a point in time, hear me on this, where a case could have been made for Steph.
Okay.
That 3-1 lead, right?
Okay.
If the Warriors win that, no. I'm being so serious. I'm being so serious. This is no shade or anything like that to Bron. But the case could have been made. That 3-1 comeback was a huge, you feel me, a huge time. You win back-to-back chips, was back-to-back MVPs. You beat the dude who we're saying is the best. Hey, the checklist is there. It don't sound pretty. I know that. Trust me, I do. That's why I'm not saying full on edge. It would have been Steph, but the conversation would have had to happen. I'm gonna tell you that now. Ain't no way someone went back-to-back MVPs, back-to-back champs against the same dude that we're saying is the best, and we can't at least have a dialogue. I know Bron fans gonna hate me, but I'm just saying
it didn't happen, so we ain't got to worry about that.
Facts.
It didn't happen. So all that,
facts.
What is because to be honest, I'll keep it a buck with you. Like if anybody other than, and we can end it at this, if anybody other than Kevin Durant or LeBron James wasn't the best player in the world, and if it was another player that could be the best player in the world, it was that man James Harden. So we could just end it. We could just end it at that.
That's fine.
We can let it go.
That's fine.
We can let it go. We can let it go.
That's fine with me. That's not who I thought you were gonna say. So that's good. I'm not gonna say who I thought. I'm not gonna say who I thought you were gonna say.
James Harden. So that's
all right. All right. Well, that's cool with me. But we know right now we both agree Kevin Durant, best basketball player in the world. But yeah, we're gonna see y'all next episode.
Next week.
It's No Pump Fakes. We out. Peace.
It's your boy, M.I.K. Smith, also known as A-Kiss. Make sure you guys go follow No Pump Fakes wherever you get your podcasts.